welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So for today, doing a painting over the sketch I did in my sketchbook of a Honkai Star Rail character, Jiaoqiu? Apologies on the bad pronunciation. But anyway, I thought this character was kind of cool and definitely looked like the male version of Yae Miko from Genshin Impact. After like staring at him long enough, I realized that's why he was kind of familiar, and I really like that character from Genshin, so I thought it was kind of fun to draw it, because I'm a lot better at drawing guys, so that's probably why so far I don't think I've done a lot of female paintings on this channel. So I had originally done the sketch with a pink the pink pilot color lead pencils, or whatever, the colored leads basically. I have one of a million colors because I bought a whole set of them just because I enjoy sketching in colored leads for watercolor painting specifically. It just dissolves really nicely, and then the color doesn't get muddy basically, which I like. It can get a bit tricky to erase if you press harder though. As a fair warning for anybody who does want to get them. But because they do dissolve, I decided to outline the drawing with polychromos. That also gave me a chance to really solidify any details and figure them out doing this other pass. Also, I weirdly did not realize that the lighting was kind of funny, half and half sun and shade while I was doing this recording. You'd think it'd be obvious because I was staring at the thing I was drawing, but I wasn't. So sorry if half of it is a bit hard to make out, but that's just for the outline part. Everything else, I believe even when it was daylight, I closed the curtain for it to be very clear. So things got a bit stressful, and I kept getting needlessly so anxious about stuff then, probably because stuff piled up, and then, you start getting anxious over things you probably shouldn't even be getting anxious, making mountains out of every molehill basically. So yeah, I kept really wanting to paint and draw because honestly that is pretty relaxing. But then when you start getting stressed out of what to draw, it's just an added stress of just piling on. So this drawing had been sitting in my sketchbook for a while, I think maybe even before I left to Japan. And I decided to finally just start and work on it and just see how it goes. Also for it, I was intending to do it in gouache originally, but for some reason I chickened out and I decided to do it with watercolors at first. But then, as you can see here, this is where the problem started occurring. I realized I hate painting characters when they have light pink hair and light skin, because of the fact that the watercolor colors that I tend to use for the skin tone and for the peachy hair color would basically be the same. Like, it's really hard to kind of different. Like, there are a bunch of colors on my palette, right, that I have that are technically different and I could use it. I even have this kind of like peachy opaque pink kind of watercolor that's like a pastel, so it's definitely mixed with white. But the thing is, it's not different enough. And that's kind of where the stress comes in, where I didn't want it to look melted. And if you kind of sometimes leave watercolors too washed out, at least on papers like this, it can look very messy and unfinished. So I decided not to panic, switch gears, and started including gouache in what I was doing. I stuck with using the Holbein Shell Pink for the hair because it's already, I suppose, anytime a watercolor has like white mixed into it, you can use it more. It'll be more opaque basically, because the white usually makes it more opaque. And I mixed that one just with some darker watercolors and made sure to be applying it very thick, enough basically to be opaque, and as you can see, get the details of the hair much better than before. I think one of my biggest art-related stresses right now is just really wanting to come up with more original art. For the most part, even these past few fan arts have more or less been stuff that's already been like a work in progress, back burner, wanting to finish up here or there, like the last video that I did of just a time lapse. I couldn't even really do a voiceover. I mean, those things, when I draw on my iPad, I don't know how long it can last, but 5 minutes feels like the longest it can basically go for, even if you've worked on it for like ages. And I don't know if it's very evident, but I redid the line art for that several times, and because I kept coming back to it after large gaps of time, because I did not like it. I didn't even think I was gonna finish that one after I came back to it, but I was just determined. I really kind of wanted something to work on, especially digitally, I think, to finish up. Also, my dog got sick, so I got very panicked, and I really couldn't then finish off editing the video with voiceover or whatever. I was pretty upset. She's okay now. It's all fine. It was just, the second your pet gets a little sick, you start getting a little panicky, so it's really hard to focus in on anything else. So I hope everybody else's November was a lot less stressful than mine, because wow, I did not expect it, but I guess all the little things and medium-sized things kind of built up, and so it kind of got to me a bit more. I think some things, though, it really did not need to, and I just had to stop and tell myself that I needed to stop psyching myself out over things that actually were not serious issues. Just making mountains out of molehills, basically. So for the artwork itself, this is the moment where I did realize I made a mistake, which kind of would be more critical if I was just using watercolor, but because I was using mixed media and gouache, and if you are just using watercolor and just going to apply some gouache, honestly, it wouldn't be as noticeable either at all. I slapped in some white and mixed in some blues anyway that I was going to do the shading, so yeah, managed to recover. I probably could have done an even better job of covering it up, but because this was more of a sketchbook painting fun thing, not really a hardcore clean finished piece, I wasn't really stressing too much about it. Okay, I just want to go on a little bit of a mini rant here about how frustrating it is when doing watercolor paintings in a sketchbook. Like, even if this is a mixed media paper sketchbook, the thing that drives me crazy is the warpage of the paper. Anytime it starts doing the warping, it slowly starts driving me crazy, because I see others doing watercolor paintings in their sketchbooks a lot, and then their sketchbooks seem fine. And I don't mean for the people who go out and spend the money on the cold press or hot press cotton papers, right? The heavy duty stuff, because yeah, of course, those are gonna hold up a lot better. But I mean for people who are using much cheaper ones, I'm using the is it Ohuhu mixed media sketchbook, and I think these pages are pretty robust, but still, when you're applying this much water, it kind of gets a little, it still does some warping time. I think the worst thing was when I tried to fix the background of the Risley painting, and I just made it so much worse. So yeah, it's always the just use less water kind of thing, but it's frustrating when you watch others seemingly paint and it seems like they probably seem to use the same amount, but it's not like you're IRL there sitting right next to them watching them use just the exact amount of water or whatever. There's a million factors, so it's probably playing into that. So yeah, I think it's probably the amount of water I'm using, and possibly much more than anybody else's with their sketchbooks particularly. And so maybe I just need to stick to the method where I see, is it tiling or something, where you're kind of just doing smaller sections by sections. Maybe that would put less chance on the warping happening, because I've tried like a bunch of techniques or something, and for sketchbook paper in particular, it'd be nice for it not to be as warped. And yeah, I mean, when I think about it, a lot of my gouache paintings, usually in sketchbooks and stuff like that, aren't as warped because I guess I'm not applying as much water there. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I know it probably seems really dumb, but sometimes when you're watching videos and you're wondering, it's like, why is my art turning out like that? Or why is my paper this way, right? Just constantly getting really frustrated, and the answers probably are more, even looking back at this footage I think helps. So hey, maybe you just record yourself doing your art, and maybe you'll notice the mistakes that you're making after the fact, after you watch the recordings of your own art. You don't even have to post it anywhere if you're feeling too anxious about that or something like that. It's just for yourself kind of deal. And that's another great thing where I feel like for myself I kind of learn what I'm actually doing more just like watching it back and being like, this is how I'm doing this, okay. Next time I'll like improve, or like, next time I'll just repeat that because clearly that works, blah blah blah, right? So perhaps I figured out the answer to it looking back at my own footage, remembering that at this point it wasn't so bad. Just I think the face, because it's like a larger space of sploshing the water on. So yeah, let me know if you feel like you experience this as well and it just does not feel as magical as watching other YouTubers create paintings, but your sketchbook starts turning into a warped mess where you don't feel like you can actually create as great of a painting. But regardless what the answer is, it's just a little bit frustrating, right? Even sometimes when you kind of can figure it out yourself, eventually it's just slightly annoying when something kind of wrecks your art when you're kind of fairly happy with it. I will say, one thing about this piece that was really fun to work on was also using these brushes. Like, I got them from Amazon. I think they're Lightwish mop brushes or something, a whole set of them, and they are amazing. I love using these brushes so much more. I think they hold more water or something, so it can get a little bit watery, so I've been learning to control that as opposed to other brushes. But honestly, even when I'm doing more opaque and trying to use less water, it's still fine. I still find the control and is more satisfying. They hold their point a lot better than a lot of the brushes so far I've gotten in stores here, which drive me mental, to be honest, because that's the thing with watercolor, is I really want to hold my point a lot of times. I don't want to have to keep going to the tiniest brushes, because if anybody else has the experience with using tiny watercolor brushes, like, it's so irritating. Like, I hate like, they always get, like, the bristles start all coming apart or something, no matter how well you try to, like, maintain them. I think I've heard that the tiniest brushes usually are the first to go really easily. So this is really nice where I don't have to keep switching to the tiny brush, aside from, I think you did see when I did the kind of line work for the hair, I was using a small brush and, keeping my cool. It's right there in the bottom corner, the small brush that I use. I haven't bothered to buy like a new one in the past while, just because it was like too frustrating, didn't want to spend more money, even though like usually they're like $4.99 or something, so it's not like they're the most expensive ones either, and it's like okay brands. Might even be a Winsor & Newton or whatever, but like, again, I don't find for brushes you have to really go too crazy with the prices, and these Lightwish Amazon brushes were a cheap, probably $20 for a set or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember paying much because I didn't want to pay much. So they definitely were not the most expensive things. So if you are having some frustrations with watercolor brushes in terms of like not keeping a point that much, and that's kind of what you're needing, then try mop brushes or something. It doesn't even have to be a Lightwish or something, but if you can pick up like a cheap set, like decently priced, that doesn't look like one of those like Dollarama level, but decent enough, then it's fine. Because again, I think you can get away with a lot of like cheap art supplies making great art. It's just sometimes with the finesse of details, you do want like something to at least be somewhat quality, like keeping a point. It's nice that I don't have to pay absorbent amounts of money for something just to keep a point. So yeah. And I think I've been using it for maybe a couple of months now or something. I can't even remember when I bought it. It might have been like in the summer, to be honest. What I think I definitely will do is do a update on all the art supplies I'm using now as a fun thing, because of course this crazy girl has bought maybe more art supplies. I swear I should definitely stop. I think I'm definitely feeling it. I'm like, you know what? I think I maybe even want to cancel my Prime just to seriously avoid getting into the shopaholic mode of buying more things. I honestly want to play more games too, so it really sucks where I feel really bad that I've spent all this money on art supplies, so then I don't buy any games, and then I just keep on playing Genshin or Honkai Star Rail. So you think the gacha game is the one where like all my money is being synced into? No, it's really not. A goldfish player at best. I bought like a couple of the battle passes and Welkins, although I've stopped buying those as well, since I got like a few characters and stuff like that. But yeah. I did actually buy a few games, 2 games specifically for the Boxing Day sale on Steam. Is it Boxing Day? Oh, sorry, not Boxing Day. Black Friday. I think when I was recording this earlier and saying something about the Black Friday sale, I called it Boxing Day as well. So anyway, yeah. The 2 games I did end up buying on sale were Baldur's Gate 3 and Ghostwire Tokyo. Originally was going to start with a Ghostwire, but I then decided I was going to go with Baldur's Gate because I just really wanted to. So I know, yeah, the game that you can sink hundreds of hours in, that's the one I definitely am starting with. It's fine. I hope everybody else was able to pick up something during the Black Friday sales that they wanted, at least to give them some joy and fun in their lives. Right now, video games and art are a great distraction from all the other shit going on. And now the background of this image, which was probably the least satisfying. It got a little bit messy, I guess. That's like it's all right, but it's not very well thought out flames, and some parts started looking okay, but I kind of definitely ran out of steam, I think, for caring about the background. And I think that's maybe when a little bit of the warpage started happening, so that's where the rant kind of came in earlier that I made, is because it got a little bit warped and cursed, so I just focused on caring only about the character himself and ignoring the messy background. It's fine. I know it's not the greatest thing or whatever, but oh well, right? Not every image you do, not every background of every character image you do is gonna be a super winner. And anyway, it kind of suits him because he does do the whole flame stuff, so yeah. Me just totally coping with this background. It's alright. Also, you can't see, but a lot of the pink lines actually did remain and they didn't all melt. Oh look, I was lying. It doesn't actually all dissolve. No, I think the other parts where it was remaining was like the white parts, and I realized, well, obviously it didn't dissolve there because I didn't really apply water, so the lightest parts of his hair are kind of whitish, so I didn't apply water there, and that's why it didn't dissolve. None of the parts of the shirt it didn't dissolve, so if there's a tinge of pink anywhere on stuff like the clothing, it's definitely from the actual lead, pink lead itself. And the sketch painting is finished. If you've gotten this far and have enjoyed, then drop a like, and if you want to see more, maybe subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.